What's up, guys? In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to install the intake hose that connects the throttle body to the mass airflow sensor on this 2011 Sentra. As you guys might have seen in the last video, I've been getting a check engine light code that has to do with the intake side of the car, and we found that the hose that connects that throttle body and the mass airflow sensor had rotted a little bit, so that definitely needed replacing. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to install that. Alright guys, the replacement part finally came in. Found it on Amazon for about 30 bucks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on getting the broken hose out of the car. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to detach this hose that leads to the transmission. Just pull on it and just wiggle a little bit. It'll come right up. Let's set that aside. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the two hose clamps here. I'm just going to use a flat head. We should be able to now separate this hose from the intake. If it's old, it might be kind of stuck on there, so you might need to really pull that to be able to get it off. And you want to do the same to the other side here. Connects the hose to the throttle body, just kind of pull on that a little bit to free that up. And then the last thing we're going to need to do here, there's a little clamp right there, I don't know if you can see it. We're just going to need to use some pliers to pull on that. Alright, what I did was go ahead and remove the engine cover, so it makes it easier to get to that clamp right here. So for the engine cover, there's just two bolts that hold it in place. The two bolts holding it in place, I believe, are 10mm. So now with that engine cover removed, it's going to be a lot easier to be able to get to this clamp here. Kind of just wiggle that off once you get it loose, and now we should be able to pull it out. And here's the stock hose, and you can see there how bad it was actually cracked, and it's also starting to come apart on the back side here, so that definitely wasn't good. But now that we got the stock part removed, I'm probably going to need to clean the throttle body up a little bit. I can't see, but there's a bit of dirt that's sitting inside of it because, yeah. So we can see there's just a little bit of dirt sitting in here, so we're going to need to clean that up. Since it's been leaking, it's been pulling in all this dust. You can even see it inside the, stock hose here too. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using a mixture of water and rubbing alcohol to clean it out. I don't want to use just straight up water because I want it to be able to evaporate pretty quickly, so I can put the hose back on. There are proper throttle body cleaners out there that you can choose, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this for now. Alright, and with that all cleaned up, we should be able to go ahead and throw this part, this replacement part on. I've gone ahead and you can see here, I've taken the hose clamp off of that previous piece and put it back on here because this new one didn't come with it. So we're going to need to reuse it. I'm going to try and maneuver this back into place here. Alright, and what I did was I loosened up my intake a little bit so I can get this side on. Because with these pipes, I think the rubber is a little bit tighter, especially since they're new, so they're a little difficult to slip on. But so I've got that side on now. I'm going to try and get it on the throttle body. Alright guys, it took me about an hour, but I finally got these hoses back on. So with these kind of cheap replacement hoses, they ended up making the rubber a little too thick, so it was difficult to slide these on. What I ended up doing is I started trying to hand sand it first, but that didn't work. So I ended up just using a a little cutting to a little razor blade to try and shave away some of that rubber, but they're finally on now. So just kind of snug them up a little bit here. Check the bottom, make sure that's on all the way. And then we can go ahead and tighten these hose clamps down. Also going to want to make sure we put that hose back on. And then of course, if you unplugged your mass airflow sensor, you're going to need to plug that back in. Alright, so that's everything reinstalled. It'll be interesting to see if I notice any difference in the throttle response or anything now that the leak's fixed. I don't know how long this crack's been here, but luckily it's fixed now, so we're all good to go. So there you guys have it. That's how you debug the P0101 check engine light code. We ended up replacing the Post-MAF airflow sensor hose in the Sentra. We got a new one ordered, so hopefully that'll fix all the problems. It'll be interesting to see if that permanent code ends up going away after a while. If not, we may end up having to take it to the dealer to have them reprogram it. Alright guys, so it's about 3 months after I filmed that video that you just watched, and I haven't been able to get around to finishing up this video because I've been really busy with school and whatnot. But to kind of give you the rundown of what happened, so I finished installing that new hose that you just saw. I deleted all the codes and wanted to see if that permanent DTC that I saw would go away, and the check engine light just came back. So I was worried that maybe that code wasn't going to go away, so I went ahead and brought it to a Nissan technician. They couldn't really do anything. What they did was they looked at the code and they weren't entirely sure why it was still having the same issue. So they recommended that I try and put the stock intake back on, because as you guys might have seen, I have that engine cold air intake on there. They recommended I switch it back, and I really didn't want to do that. So I went on their recommendation though, and I was going to wait maybe about a month or so before I went ahead and did that. But finally, after waiting for a few weeks after fixing the issue, the check engine light did eventually go away. So here's the issue. Ever since like 2010 or something like that, OBD2 has this new type of code called the permanent DTC or something like that. It's different from the codes that we used to have in the past, which you could just delete and the code would sort of go away after the engine ran all of its checks. But these permanent DTCs are a little more difficult. Essentially, the computer has to run a bunch of extended tests for it to go away. It's kind of stored in memory to where you can't just delete it or anything. So I had to wait for about a month before the car finally decided that everything was fixed. The technician wasn't able to delete it. You know, I just had to wait until the code fixed itself. But finally, a month later, y'all can see that no check engine lights. Finally. It's taken forever for this to happen, but I'm finally done with check engine light. Everything's fixed now, so I'm good to go. So yeah, you just have to be patient. If you see that permanent DTC, that might just mean that it's going to take a while for the problem to resolve itself. But anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have any questions about anything that I do, or if you have any recommendations on a do-it-yourself video that you want me to do, just leave a comment down below there. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.